Good morning, students. So, today we will start with business strategies. In the previous class, we saw what are the different types of corporate strategies and the different methods which are used in order to take strategic decisions respect to corporate level. Okay, now let us start with the business level strategies. The first important aspect which you need to know when it comes to business level strategies is Porter's five force model. Based on this model, basically the business level strategies are devised. Okay, so in any industry, whether it is domestic or international, whether it produces a product or a service, the rules of competition are based on these five competitive forces. So irrespective what kind of an industry it is, whether it is into product manufacturing, whether it is into service providing, whether it is a domestic company, whether it is an international company, irrespective, these five competitive forces play a very crucial role. They are the entry of new competitors, the threat of substitutes, the bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers, and the rivalry among existing competitors. Now, the collective strength of these five competitive forces determine the ability of a firm in an industry to earn an average rate of return on investment. Okay, so basically how much return and company will earn in an industry is determined based on these five forces. The strength of five forces, they will vary from industry to industry and can change as the industry evolves. Okay, now there are some industries, for example soft drinks, pharmaceuticals, these industries, these five forces are very favorable. As a result, all the companies in that industry will earn attractive returns. But there are certain industries where these five forces are not favorable, they are very intense, such as rubber, steel, video games. Now these firms, even if they are doing the best, okay, from the management side everything is perfectly done, still they won't earn attractive returns despite the best efforts of the management. Okay, now these five forces, basically how they affect the competition in the market is that they influence the profitability. Okay, because they influence what the prices, cost, and required investment of the firm. In a way, it has an influence on the profitability of the firm operating in that industry. Okay, so basically, let me give you an overview and then we'll go into the depth. Okay, so the first one is the buyer's bargaining power. Okay, so buyer's bargaining power, basically a buyer has some power to influence the prices that the firm can charge. Okay, example, threat of substitution. Okay, now if there is a substitute product available in the market at a very cheap rate and if the buyers are going to them, obviously it is an indication towards you that you need to lower your price as well because your substitute is also better than what you are selling. Okay, so the power of the buyers can also influence the cost and investment because powerful buyers demand costly service. Okay, then moving on to bargaining power of suppliers. Now bargaining power of suppliers, it also depends. Now your supplier of raw materials, he is providing you some very rare raw material, or he is the only one who is providing that raw material in the market, then he gets the power obviously to influence the cost of your raw materials and other inputs. Okay, then the intensity of rivalry. Okay, it obviously influences the price as well as the cost of competing in areas, okay, such as advertisement, sales force, etc. Now Geo, it came with a bang. Okay, and all the other companies in telecommunication sector were affected because of it. So that is one example, basically, that competitors have a very huge influence on the price and all other aspects, profitability, everything. Okay, moving on to threat to entry, that is potential new entrants. Okay, so obviously competitive pressures coming from the threat of new rivals, that is new like new people entering the market, are always a competition, and it does place a limit on the prices and shapes the investment required to deter the entrance. Now every company, if it's established in a certain business, it will try to place some barriers so that new entrants don't enter very easily. Okay, if you all had attended that B Live session, he also had mentioned in his talk that he has placed some barriers that the person who comes, like any new entrant, if they come in this business of B life cycles, then it won't be as easy for him as it was for me. So every company basically and every business basically, it sets some barriers so that new entrants cannot just walk in easily by just imitating the same product or just stalking the existing companies. New entrants just cannot enter very easily. It should not be a cakewalk for them. So they lay down some barriers. Okay. Now let us move into the details. The first one is the bargaining power of buyers. Okay. So as I have told you that the bargaining power of buyers is the second one. The first one. Okay. Uh, Now let us understand each of this aspect in detail. Okay. The first one is the threat of new entrants. Now, the new entrants are always a powerful source of competition. The new product range and capacity they bring through new competitive pressure. Okay. The bigger the new entrant, the more severe the competitive effect. New entrants also place a limit on prices and affect the profitability of the existing players. Example, when Jio entered the market, it entered with a new product range and a new capacity. As a result, throwing a new competitive pressure on the existing firms. A huge competitive pressure was thrown on the existing firms when Jio entered because they entered with a new product with a new capacity. Now, the seriousness of the threat of entry depends on the barriers present and on the reaction from the existing competitors that the entrant can expect. Now, the stronger the barriers, it means that the existing competitors really don't want anyone to enter the market. They are very serious about the new entrant threat and they just don't want anyone to enter the market. That's the reason why they have placed some serious barriers. Okay, now what are the different types of barriers? Let us see and let us understand. Economies of scale. Okay, the economies of scale prevent the entry by forcing the new entrant to come in either on a large scale or accept a cost disadvantage. As you know, economies of scale means what? If a firm is producing at a large scale, obviously they will be able to procure the raw materials at a very low cost because they are going to buy it in bulk, and as a result their cost of production will come down. And once their cost of production comes down, obviously they are going to sell the product at a very low cost and able to earn high profits. Okay, now moving on to the next, that is product differentiation. Okay, product differentiation. As I told you what differentiation is in the previous class. If you all don't remember, please recap. Okay. Product differentiation. Brand identification creates a barrier by forcing the entrant to spend heavily to overcome customer loyalty. Now, there are certain products with respect to which we highly trust only specific brands. We don't go to any other brand to buy that product because we have customer loyalty with that brand. Example, I prefer Puma as a brand. So if I want any shoes or if I want any t-shirt, I will go to Puma itself. Tomorrow say a better company comes up like Patanjali. Okay, Patanjali say has come up with good branded shoes and like good quality t-shirts, like they are like the best say. But still, Since I have customer loyalty with Puma, it becomes very difficult for me to start investing in another company and leave the company with whom I have my loyalty with. Okay, even though Patanjali may be selling the best of the shoes and best of the t-shirts, I won't go to Patanjali because my customer loyalty lies with Puma. Okay, so as a result, Patanjali will have to spend a huge amount of cost in order to gain my trust, isn't it? So that is one barrier for Patanjali, that Puma has created that brand differentiation where it has differentiated its products from all the other product or other companies selling the same product. It has differentiated itself through its brand. Okay, moving on to the next, that is capital requirement. Now the need to invest in very large financial resources in order to compete creates a barrier. Now, obviously, when you enter any market where there are already existing market leaders, if you want to, be anywhere near the market leader, like maybe the top five company, if you want to be in that industry, you will need to spend huge amounts. We saw that happening in question mark. If you all remember, in BCG metrics, we saw under question mark that if you want to become a market leader, okay, you need to spend a lot, like huge financial investments you will need to do in that business or in that product line in order to be the market leader, or basically in order to at least survive in that market also you need to spend a lot if you are falling under the question mark, isn't it? So the same thing is a barrier. Okay, it is a barrier which is created by the existing companies who are the market leaders, okay, for you, because you are the new entrant. So capital requirements, that is a company will need huge amount of capital in order to compete with the market leader. Coming to cost disadvantage independent of size. Now, the existing companies may have a cost advantage. Okay. But the new companies which are entering, okay, they may not have that cost advantage irrespective of the size and economies of scale. Why will they have cost advantage, the existing companies? Obviously because of experience curve. Even if the existing companies are not large scale, irrespective of the size, they have been in the market for a period of 10 years, 20 years. They know where to cost cut, how to reduce the cost, and where like you get the cheapest of raw materials. And like with the experience curves, their employees are so efficient that they have reduced the wastage. So as a result, the existing companies have developed a cost advantage. Okay, but the new entrant who will be entering, they will have a cost disadvantage. Why? Even if they are a large company or even if they are a small company, the new entrant, they will have a cost disadvantage because they are just entering the market. They don't have the experience curve, they don't have any knowledge with respect to where you get the cheapest raw materials or how to do the cost cutting, where should I try to reduce the cost of production. Like they have no idea with respect to that. That's the reason why that is a cost disadvantage to the to the new entrant independent of size. And the existing company, it is a cost advantage because they are there in the market for a period of 10, 20 years. They have got that experience, they know how to reduce their cost of production. Okay, then the next is access to distribution channels. Now, if you're entering the market as a new entrant, obviously the distribution channels which are already working in the market will be working for your competitor. Now, example, say initially, if you had noticed when Patanjali launched its products, it was having specific outlets selling its products. Why you think that was? Is it because they wanted to sell? Sorry, is it because they didn't want to enter the market directly or something like that? No. The thing is, the distribution channels, they enter into a contract with the companies. Okay, so if I'm a new entrant, they won't enter into a contract with me because they are already into a contract with my rival company. Okay, so they won't, you know, just break the relation with the existing market leader for a new entrant like me. Basically, when I'm entering the market, I'm a new entrant. My lifespan is not determined as such. Whether I will survive in the next 2 years also, it's a big question mark. Okay. And the distribution channels which are existing or which are operating, they have entered into a contract with my rival company who is the market leader in that market segment. So they won't, enter into a bad relationship with a market leader who has been in the market for 10, 20 years because of a new entrant like me by giving me the contract of distribution. Okay. So, as a result, as a new entrant, it becomes very difficult for me to access distribution channels because all the existing distribution channels have already partnered with my rivals, and they are there in the market for 10, 20 years, so they have developed that bond. So they don't want to deteriorate that relationship because of a new entrant like me who they don't know whether I'll survive in the next 2 years also. So that is the reason why when Patanjali launched, basically, it launched itself in small specific outlets. Okay. Now, if you see, it is available everywhere. Every supermarket you will get Patanjali products. Small kirana stores also are selling Patanjali products. Even Big Bazaar is selling Patanjali products. Okay. Now, since Patanjali has established itself over a period of time, now the distribution channels are accepting to distribute their products. So that you need to know that access to distribution channels is also a threat of new entry. Then coming to government policy, I don't have to tell you all that most of the products which government don't support, okay, it is a threat basically for the new entrant. Example, government does not want to promote tobacco products. So tomorrow if I'm starting or I want to start a tobacco manufacturing company, everything will be made difficult for me. Okay? Because stringent rules and regulations will apply for me. Like the government will make it very difficult for me to get the license also. Basically start my operations also, it will take a lot of time. Okay. On the other hand, say if I want to start a school or if I want to start a college, everything will just happen just like that because the government is in favor of it. Government is in favor of starting schools or starting hospitals. The government is in favor. But if I want to start tobacco manufacturing company, government is going to take a lot of time to give its approval. Okay. So that is also a threat of new entrant. It's just that the government does not want more companies selling that product. That's the reason why it's just placing a barrier. Okay. Moving on to the second one, that is bargaining power of buyers. Now, basically, bargaining power of customers. Okay. This is another force which influences the competitive condition of the industry. This force becomes heavier depending on the possibilities of buyers forming groups or cartels. Mostly, this is a phenomena seen in industrial products. So users of industrial products, they basically come together formally or informally and exert pressure on the producer in the matters such as price, quality, and delivery. Okay. Now the bargaining power of the buyers basically, okay, influence not only the prices that the producer can charge but also influence in many cases the cost and investment of the producer, because powerful buyer usually bargain for better service which involve cost and investment on the part of the producer. Okay, that is the bargaining power of the buyers. Then moving on to bargaining power of the suppliers. Now quite often supplier to exercise bargaining power over the companies if the suppliers are limited, okay, in number, or they provide more specialized raw materials, say. then they stand at a better chance to exhibit their bargaining power. The bargaining power of the suppliers basically determine the cost of raw materials and other inputs of the industry, and therefore in the end also affects its profitability. Then rivalry among current players. Okay. Now the rivalry among existing players is an idea that can be easily understood. Okay. This is what is normally understood as competition. The competitors influence the price as well as the cost of competing in that industry. Okay. It's not just the profitability, basically everything is influenced when it comes to rivalry. Okay, that is competition among the existing players. Now, threat of substitutes. Substitute products are latent source of competition in an industry. That is the about four that we saw. Okay, the first, second, third, fourth, the points that we saw, they are there in the industry at the initial stage itself, whereas the threat of substitutes comes at a later stage. Now if your product is successful, then only substitutes will come for your product, right? So threat of substitutes, it comes at a latent or a later stage in the competition. Substitute products offering a price advantage or performance improvement to the consumers can drastically alter the competitive character of an industry. Okay, so if a substitute product is offering a price advantage or performance improvement, it's better in performance than the original product. Okay, the substitute product is better in performance, say, then it can alter the competitive character of the industry. The substitutes not only limit the profits in normal times, but they also reduce the bonanza an industry can reap in a boom time. Okay, so basically, substitutes, if they are better than the original product, you can say that the original product, whoever manufactured it, that company is just finished. Okay, it cannot reap any benefits anymore. Okay, now example of substitute products I'll give you. Coir. Okay, coir suffered at the hands of synthetic fiber. Okay, initially coir was used extensively, but when the synthetic fiber, okay, nylon and all these things started coming in, they just replaced coir like anything. Okay, so that is one example of threat of substitutes. This will be a assignment for you all to find out examples of companies, okay, in all these five forces. Now moving on to the next aspect, that is the types of strategies. Let us move on to the next subtopic, that is Porter's generic business strategies. Now, based on Porter's 5 force analysis, we can classify the business strategies into the following three types, that is cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. Don't get confused with the four quadrants over here. Cost leadership, differentiation, and then the focus strategy is divided into two types, that is cost leadership and differentiation. That is focused cost leadership and focused differentiation. Basically, there are three types only. Okay, so now the business strategy is dependent on the industry structure and the positioning of the firm in an industry. So basically, the business strategy is dependent on these two factors, that is, the industry structure and positioning of the firm in an industry. Now, the industry structure is dependent on the five forces operating in the market. Now, what are those five forces? Basically, they are Porter's five forces. Okay, so the industry structure is dependent on those five forces. Moving ahead, positioning is based on competitive advantage and competitive scope. Now, positioning is dependent on two things, that is the competitive advantage and the competitive scope. Now, competitive advantage, it can be either lower cost or differentiation. That is, you can either sell your product at a lower cost or you can differentiate your product from that of the rivals. Okay, then moving on to the competitive scope, it can be either broad target or narrow target. Now let us look at the quadrants. Okay, competitive scope, it can be the broad target or it can be narrow target. Competitive advantage, it can be the lower cost or it can be a differentiated product. Okay, now let us start with the first one, that is the cost leadership business strategy. Okay, so you can see over here the cost leadership. It is a broad target market and it sells at a lower cost the products or the services that it offers. Now, when the competitive advantage of an organization lies in lower cost of product or services relative to what the competitors have to offer, it is termed as cost leadership. So, if you're selling your product at a lower cost than what the competitors are offering, then it is termed as a cost leadership. The organization outperforms its competitors by offering products or services at a lower cost. Customers prefer a lower cost product if they offer the same utility to them as compared to the other products available in the market. Okay, so if your product, which is at a lower cost, provides the customers the same utility, then what the other products are offering, okay, in that case, competitors will prefer your product. Sorry, if you are selling your product, okay, at a lower cost, and the utility of your product is similar to a product which is offered by your competitors at a higher cost, in that case the consumers will opt for your product because your product is offering them the same utility that the other product is offering, which is sold at a higher price by your competitors. Okay, now let us move on to the example. Okay, Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, that is GCMME, Amul. Okay, basically Amul is known for its ice creams which are available at a lower cost in the market. If you check, you will come to know that Amul offers, the ice creams at the lowest cost. You won't find any ice cream lower than Amul's cost. Okay, so why is it? Because it is backed by a large cooperative dairy network across the country. Okay, not just in Gujarat, across the country. And an efficient supply chain is in place for procurement of high quality milk. Okay, so the raw material, that is milk, it is procured from different states across the country and there is a proper network. Okay, supply chain is enforced to make sure that that milk reaches the company. Okay, then besides it, it also has a cold chain supplying its refrigerated products. It also has a cold chain supplying its refrigerated products. Thus you can see that Amul ice creams are available everywhere. You can find them in STD booths and also on kirana stores. Almost everywhere you will find it, there are Amul ice creams. Because why? Because their supply chain is also like very nice, the distribution chain is also very nice and the supply chain is also very nice. Everything is like in proper place. It's a very strong supply and distribution channel that they have, enforced. Moving on to the next level of strategy, that is differentiation, that is will focus on broad differentiation over here. As you can see that broad differentiation, it is a broad target market and competitive advantage is differentiated products. So, when the competitive advantage of an organization lies in the special features in its products or its service, which is demanded by the customers who are willing to pay for it, then the strategy adopted is differentiation business strategy. I have discussed what is differentiation strategy before also. Differentiation is nothing where your product has different features, unique features, and is different in a way, and the consumers are willing to pay more price for your product. That is differentiation. Okay, then the organization outperforms its competitors who are not able or willing to offer the special features it can and does. So your organization offering these unique features and unique selling point is there in your product, which your competitors are not able to offer. Maybe because it is very expensive, or they do not have the technology or expertise for manufacturing that product, but due to some reason your competitors cannot offer the differentiated product that you are offering. Okay, so as a result, the competitors are lacking behind and the consumers are preferring your product even if they have to pay a premium or an extra price to get your product. Now, customers usually prefer a differentiated product or service when it offers them the utility that they value and thus willing to pay more for getting such utility. Okay. Now, a differentiator organization can charge a premium price for its product or services and gain additional customers who value the differentiation and command customer loyalty. Since you are manufacturing a differentiated product, which is the utility of those consumers, as a result, they are willing to pay the premium price, and you have the liberty to charge a premium price for that product because the competitors are not selling that differentiated product, and thus basically you are selling it. The consumers are willing to pay the premium price because it's meeting their utility and value requirements, and as a result there is a customer loyalty developed by them towards your company. Okay, now an example of this is in 1985, Pale Agro launched Fruity, which is a non-aerated natural fruit-based drink in a Tetra Pak. During 1985, the customers perceived that glass bottled drinks are synthetic. Okay, but on the other hand, since Fruity was a natural fruit based drink, they could not launch it in the bottle because bottle drinks were perceived to be synthetic. So Fruity launched its product in a Tetra Pak, and Fruity went on to become generic drink, okay, in Tetra Pak category, especially since it's maintained its price in parity with the popular aerated drinks. Though Fruity was sold in a Tetra Pak, they did not charge a very huge cost. Okay, the cost of buying a Fruity pack was similar to that of buying a synthetic drink in a glass bottle. Okay, and as you all know, the glass bottle had to be returned, and if you could not return the glass bottle, then some extra fee and all was charged. So Fruity, what it did is it launched its product in a Tetra Pak because at that time it was perceived that a glass bottle drink is a synthetic drink. So since Fruity was a fruit based drink, they launched it in a Tetra Pak and they charged the same price as that of the glass bottle drink. They did not charge extra. And as a result, it became a generic drink in Tetra Pak food, fruit juices, fruit based drinks. Okay, it was the first one to launch the Tetra Pak drink. Okay, so it in a way differentiated its product by launching it in a Tetra Pak. Now moving on to the next, that is the focused strategy. The focus strategy can be differentiated into two types, that is the cost leadership and differentiation. Now if the target is narrow and the focus is low cost products and services, then it is cost leadership strategy. If the target market is narrow and the products are differentiated, then it is focused differentiation. Okay, now the focus business strategies essentially rely on either cost leadership or differentiation, but cater to a narrow segment of the total market. Now focused strategy, you can see both of them, they only cater the narrow target market. They are not focusing on the broad target market. Okay, the only point of difference is that one focus strategy is cost leadership, whereas the other focus strategy is differentiation, but the focus basically is narrow target market only. Okay, then so Basically, in terms of the market, the focus is the niche strategy. The more commonly used the more commonly used basis for identifying customer groups under focus strategy is through its demographic profiles, that is age, gender, all this occupation, etc. Or there can be geographical segmentation, like maybe rural, urban, then north India, south India, something like that. So you can either focus on north India, south India, or maybe rural areas, urban areas. So the focus, the target market can be differentiated in the form of geographical areas, or it can be in terms of demographic profile, that is you are specifically focusing on maybe a certain age group or maybe a certain gender. Okay, your product is targeting only a specific demographic profile, maybe occupation based. You are targeting, okay, only we are targeting, academicians only we are targeting, or we are targeting only students, or we are targeting only businessmen. Okay, so that way the narrow target market can be differentiated in terms of demographic profile or geographical location. Okay, or lifestyle, whether it is a traditional lifestyle or a modern lifestyle. Now, for the identified market segment, a focused organization uses either the lower cost or differentiation strategy that I told you. That the narrow target market, it can be differentiated in terms of demographic profile or geographical location or the lifestyle, whether you're modern, traditional. So your product is focusing on traditional households or your product is focusing on the modern households. Now that is going to be your target market. But coming to competitive advantage, it can be either lower cost or differentiated product. Okay. Now the example of focused strategy is Tanishq. Okay. India typically has a traditionally high skilled craftsmen in jewelry trade. Okay, now designs of jewelry, they vary across the region. If you see South Indians, they have different type of jewelry. They have temple jewelry and all that. If you see the North Indians, they have a different type of jewelry like Kundan jewelry. They prefer Kundan jewelry and all. If you see West Bengal, they have some different type of jewelry. Like there is something called a shaka, pola, something like that type of things they have. Whereas coming down to Goa and all, we have some different type of jewelry. Like even a simple piece of jewelry, like a nose pin, differs across the states. Like women wear different types of nose pins, okay, across the states. So as a result, there are different craftsmanship across India. Okay, because there are different types of jewelry, and jewelry is basically considered as an investment in gold. Now, Tanishq, the jewelry brand of Titan, adopts differentiation strategy, offering a range of gold, pearl, and diamond jewelry for women and men, treating jewelry as fashionable item rather than an investment. Okay, designs are made on the basis of feedback from extensive retail network of showrooms. New designs are introduced every quarter. The brand projects itself as a reputed organization with a guarantee of purity. Now, this is an example of focused differentiation. That is, if you go to Tanishq, if you tell them that I am a Maharashtrian bride, they will show you all the jewelry which are specific to Maharashtrian bride. Okay, they will charge you a premium because they are specializing in it, isn't it? They're differentiating its product. They guarantee you purity, their craftsmanship are across the country, and like everything, like even a small jewelry is also like given utmost detail attention by them. As a result, they are going to charge you extra because their products are different. You won't find similar product in any other jewelry store. If you see the designs of Tanish, they will never restrict you all from clicking photographs and all, because they know for sure that even if you click a photograph and take it to your local jewelry store, they are not going to imitate the same product for you, because Tanishq has like a very unique designs. Okay, like all the designs are quite unique. So as a result, it is focused differentiation. Example, Tanishq is a focused differentiation because and every quarter what happens is they launch new products. A complete new product is not product as such, a range of products is launched. Like there are different collections under Tanishq, and every quarter a new collection is launched. I guess recently they have launched another collection, something before Diwali itself they launched one. Uh, Ekatvam or something the name is. You can see on the website of their website if you want. They have just launched a new collection with around 180 products or something like that. 180 new pieces of products. So each of them will be obviously different from the existing collection of lakhs of different designs. Okay, so that is focus differentiation. Now, focus cost leadership, I don't have to tell you all an example. This will be your homework. You all have to find out an example for focus cost leadership. I will upload whatever your assignment is there for today on the Google Classroom. You all can do it. Okay, so now this is basically Porter's generic business strategies, which are divided into three, that is the cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. Cost leadership, obviously, it is going to focus on lower cost, but it is a broad target market. Broad differentiation, it is obviously broad differentiation is obviously going to focus on differentiated products, but it is a broad target market. Whereas the focus strategy, it is focusing only on the narrow target market. Okay. So let me conclude. Okay, there are basically three types of strategies when it comes to Porter's generic business strategies. The first is cost leadership, the second is differentiation, and the third is the focus. The focus strategy, whether it is cost leadership, whether it is differentiation, it is focusing on the narrow target market, that is the niche market. Moving on to the cost leadership, it is focusing on a broad target market, but it is focusing on the lower cost aspect of it. Whereas moving on to broad differentiation, obviously it is focusing on differentiating its products from that of its competitors, but on a broader target market level. Okay, so this was Porter's generic business strategies, which you have devised based on the Porter's 5 Force model. Now, let us move on. That's it for today. In the next class, we will see what are the tactics in business strategy and also the functional level strategy. However, the assignment for today's class will be uploaded on Google Classroom. Do have a look at it and submit as per the given deadline. Thank you.